Hello, my name is Reggie Young. I'm here with Nick from Hello Tax. Nick, if you could take a quick minute to explain a little bit about who you are and how you got started.
Okay, thank you, Reginald. I'm Nick Penev. I'm like already said, I'm the country manager at Shelltax and also the co-founder of Extreme Power Brand. So Extreme Power Brands is a partnership agency and network. The simple explanation of what we do is we connect people. The more complicated explanation is we help people and we help companies to grow for partnerships. Shelltax is my first client who gave me the idea about that. Now we have over 20 service process clients, and that's what we do. We help companies to grow through partnerships. Me personally, I used to be an e-commerce seller for 10 years. From 2010 until 2020, I was selling private label supplements. We started with one product, we developed 20. We reached like 5 millions in like 4 years, fully bootstrapped, no funding, nothing. We've never created aggregators until we sold the business in 2020. And even then, we had no idea that there's such an animal like the aggregators for the M&A guys. So we simply sold the business because we're tired of doing that. Because the profit margins that we're hitting at the beginning were not what we're getting at the end. So, and
Mhm.
this is not what happened eventually. I switched from being an e-commerce owner and e-commerce to actually somebody who is doing a service providing for actually e-commerce companies. So I mean, the long story short,
Yeah,
what
no,
we've been doing.
yeah, I love that. I remember listening to one of your other podcast podcast episodes that you had recorded, and you had talked about some of the margins you were getting selling supplements. If you could maybe explain a little bit about what you
Yeah,
experienced
exactly. I
when you
mean,
started out.
this is what happened. No, going trying to do it a little shorter because I know we don't have that much time. But when I was starting, I mean, I've never sold on Amazon, and the reason for that was because we're buying the supplements for €2 per unit, and we're selling them for €50. And this is the key. We're paying 1 cent per click on Facebook and Google Ads. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. Just to let you know what we're doing, we start with like $5,000, me and two other co-founders, which I had to convince, by the way, to start. They didn't believe me. And I told them, okay, I'm going to order 200 units. I'm going to sell them and I'll show you that we can do it. You just build me a website because I'm not an IT guy. I cannot build websites. I'm just sales, marketing, all this kind of stuff. So we did one product. We sold that and they actually were convinced that we can do it. So just to fast forward now, what happened? No, nobody was advertising at Facebook and Google. So I said, okay, let's do that. Let's create like an image. You can lose weight, blah, blah, blah. Some copy, very unprofessional stuff, but it doesn't matter, when you're the first one. So we actually put $200 ad spend per day and we got 200 sales. So $1 cost per acquisition. so
Yeah,
so
that's
it,
super cheap.
Yeah, that's super cheap. And that's why we actually scaled very quickly because once we started making money, we actually increased the up to like $1,000. So we're doing 1,000 sales per day with this cost per sale at the beginning. And we quickly expanded. Now we did like a private label supplement right away. It was called Acai Verde. Acai Verde is a very popular supplement back then. It was called Acai Berry. It's the magic of Brazilian fruit. Now, doctor also in the States, he got in trouble. He went to testify in front of Congress because he was pitching all this Garcinia, Cambodia, raspberry, ketone, all the miracle fruits and all this stuff. So
Yeah, it worked out too well.
yeah, I mean, anyways, I mean, he was just promoting that and everybody was copying. And we did very well because we developed like 20 supplement brands. But of course, I mean, the profits that we're doing in the beginning, they start decreasing because a lot of competitors started doing that. We're moving that quickly that we didn't have time to do any copyright trademarks. So this was what happened
Mhm.
with one of our products. It was called Extreme Power. This is actually the name of my agency. We simply rebranded that because that was one of our base products. So it was called Extreme Power. It was a nutrient booster supplement. So we did the website. We started selling across multiple countries in Europe. And our biggest competitor just copied everything and just changed the name Extreme Gain. What?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that was normal because see, the one thing that was very good on our end is that we're never sourcing products from China. So my manufacturers were in the UK and the USA. So I was selling in Europe. I was ordering from the UK, and this was our product development procedure. We get an idea. We built the website, we built the packaging, supplement bottle. We built the landing page. We started an offer for 1 or 2 days. We validated that we're selling well. I actually write to my manufacturers, okay, we'd like to order 10, 20,000 units. And in 3 weeks, we're actually white and we're selling. So from idea to actually launching the product, it was taking like 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, we had a lot of products that did not go well. Some went very well, but eventually we couldn't compete with the other people for ad space. So, for example, one of our other products, which was very good, was called Omnipotence. Omnipotence is a male enhancement supplement. How to be hard as long as your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it's simply about. So this product was selling quite crazy. We're selling like thousands of units on dating websites or like adult websites, and we're very happy. But you know what happens eventually? You know, they cut our advertising because our competitors for the ad spaces were the dating website. So they have so much money that we couldn't
Yeah.
compete with it. So even though the product was great, we couldn't find anybody to, or any publisher to uh, advertise our product. So the supplement is a very dynamic and actually hard business. It was easier back then because it was early. Right now, I have a lot of partners, and they're telling me that it takes you 2 years to work without any profit to actually start actually accumulating, like release and all this stuff. So it's much further right.
Yeah, totally. And I think, if you're getting it was like 1 cent clicks. I mean, that doesn't really exist, I don't think, anywhere anymore. And I think now, if you
Yeah,
look at
I
the
don't
supplement
think
niche,
so.
yeah, if you look at the supplements now, I think it's around, depending on what niche you're in, it can be as high as like $2 a click. So having 1 cent click days, I think, are an absolute crazy story and probably contributed to massive growth. But part of that is because you entered a new market, right? You weren't probably selling in the US, you were in a different market. So you're able to
No, no,
compete.
this actually the big difference that we're doing. We actually tested all the markets, but we sold in only the small markets, the underdeveloped markets. So, for example, the pre-Baltic countries in Europe, you know, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, the combined population is probably 5 or 6 million. We're doing close to 1,000 sales per day there, which is crazy. Probably nobody's gonna go and sell anything there
Right.
because everybody's gonna go to the UK, Germany, France. But these markets were even then they're actually saturated. So we did some campaigns there, but they were not that profitable. So we said, okay, what the heck? We can make much more money with in other small markets. Why should we bother with the big ones? So we're actually doing what people are still not doing right now. Everybody goes in the States, they don't go to Europe. No, there is actually a funny, it's not funny because if you're on seller, it would not look funny to you, but 98% of the Amazon sellers who are selling in the USA are not selling in Europe. So only 2% of the Amazon US sellers are selling in Europe. So this is still some markets, you have huge opportunity, but I guess this is just people psychology. You go everywhere everybody else is going. If there is no people doing something, they say it's either part or it doesn't make sense, which is not true, of course. Oh,
Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's really interesting to think about all those different aspects of people always focusing on the US, and I have a problem with that as well. Just really focusing on where all that attention is, but there's so much other good value in all these other smaller countries. And so with that, I like the idea of, like, you work with Hello Tax, and it's called, it's a, if you could explain a little bit about what that company does and how it helps
yeah,
sellers.
of course. I mean, the story is actually very interesting because I was a client of Hilltax. When we sold the supplement business, all the brands and everything, I was using them. And the reason why I ended up with Hilltax is because one of my tax advisors who were doing the VAT for one of the markets made a mistake. And when you made a mistake, you pay penalty. So we said, okay, we shouldn't do it this old fashioned way with Excels and just emails. We should look for alternatives. So we found Hilltax and we were using them to do our VATs for our companies. And just to explain a little bit more about Hilltax, the founders are ex-Amazon sellers. They're called Christian and Christoph. One is from Austria, one is from Spain. They were selling online. They were chatting in the Facebook, Amazon Facebook group about how they have issues with their VAT compliance and how they cannot find a solution. And one of them said, okay, why don't we build a company for that? That was in 2016. So they actually built first a service and eventually build the software, which is tailored for Amazon and other e-commerce sellers. So it's very niche product that they're doing. So if you want to sell in Europe, they do the VAT components for you, which means they help you get the VAT, they file the reports, and they help pay the returns. So it's a SaaS solution plus the managed service. But the main thing is that they only work with companies when they sell outside of their home country. Because let's say if you're a UK company and if you sell in the UK, your accountant is going to do the VAT and all the stuff that is needed at home. But when you need to go cross border, Germany, any other market, your accountant is not an expert anymore. So you're in trouble. So that's what HelloTax is solving. It's helping people in regards to the VAT and setting up their business, which is the first thing that you need to do in Europe before you start selling. So this is very important because your accountant is an expert only in your home country. He doesn't know anything in the other market. So HelloTax is solving this issue.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like like that's one thing that's always scared me is VAT, all those other different things. I have clients that are always struggling with how to remit taxes, how to move things around. I would imagine too that also comes with a lot of support besides taxes and having those partnerships for people who have
Yeah, the
done
partnerships are
these types
helping
of
a lot because when somebody comes to me, just this week I spoke with like 4 or probably even 5 Amazon sellers who went to Europe. They went to Amazon. And this is actually very big because obviously Amazon is a big company. They make money. They don't care about which is right or wrong. So they always push new sellers to do the so-called pan-Europe, which means to get VAT in multiple markets so they can store goods in multiple markets, which is not a smart idea because multiple VATs means multiple VAT registration in different markets. So you're going to get one VAT right now, the other will not be ready. So people get frustrated. No, they're not happy. So the smart thing to do is just to get one VAT. And this is something that a lot of people don't know. Selling in Europe, you just need one VAT. You get one VAT in Germany, you can sell to the whole European Union plus the UK, even after breaks. So start small, hold your stock there, sell across the European Union. Once you validate that you're doing good volume of sales in France or Italy, then it would make sense to set up a second AF-based storage, and then you must have a second VAT, but start small and scale. It's very similar to what people do with ad campaigns. You don't do like 100 ad campaigns at once. You do one campaign, you do like ad groups, you validate which is working, which is not, and then you expand. So it should be the same with expanding to new markets. Just start small, see what works, move to the next market. Do localization, translation, all this stuff. Just do it the smart way. Because I mean, if you have a lot of money, you can afford that. But this doesn't mean it's smart to do it right now.
Mhm. What's interesting is that, as a like digital nomad traveler, I guess you could say, I meet not that many Amazon FBA people. If I meet people who do Amazon, they're usually really successful at it. But the ones who are just starting out, I find more and more of them that are profitable are actually uh, sellers starting in Europe instead of in the United States. So I find that pretty interesting. Is probably a better place to go to start than
Yeah,
maybe
I'll
even.
tell one very interesting stat. Last year, Amazon did 300 billion in sales, 300, and pro and probably like I think 270 billions are in the USA. So you can imagine
Yeah,
what is the
yeah,
opportunity in the other markets.
yeah,
So
yeah. Massive opportunity for sure.
yeah, so
Yeah,
and like I said, the reason why Europe is better is because people are scared of Europe. And I'm always joking when I do webinars, like, we're good for vacation, but we're good for business. So come for vacation, start selling here. But the thing is, because it's hard, many of your competitors don't want to bother with that.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
the people who do, once you establish your actual business, first you have less competitors because there's more sellers in the USA and
Mhm.
compared to Europe. The other thing is Europe has 450 million population, which is 100 million on top of what you have in the USA. So it's a bigger market. You have you have a lot of countries which are still not buying that much on Amazon. So it's too early and you don't have competitors. So what this mean? Probably you have less sales, but you're gonna have bigger profit. But the thing is, no, when you sell your business, nobody asks how much is your revenue. They ask about the profit. So
Right.
that's what matters at the end.
Yeah, what definitely matters. And I'm taking a look at or thinking about a new seller who's probably going to Europe and doesn't is probably looking at all different types of product opportunities. And I was thinking about your example earlier about someone taking excuse me half of your brand name like Extreme Power, and then taking that last half and then rebranding it. And it got me thinking is that's one thing I somewhat used to do is I have like one general business name and it's like an abstract name. I have a banana here, but if banana isn't
Mhm.
an abstract word, but like if the brand name was banana and I got into the arts and crafts niche, my brand name would be Banana Arts and Crafts. If I got into the kitchen
Mhm.
space, it'd be Banana Kitchen and whatever. That way I could maintain um, my brand registry across all different product lines. So I think that could be a nice tip for anyone who is expanding across different product lines, and then maybe even also to try and protect uh, their brand a little bit. Another thing that I've done is I'll try and take a part of my main keyword and put that into my brand. Because if someone is searching for extreme power, but if I can take extreme, let's say that's a keyword, then I can start to hopefully try and capitalize on some of that search volume. So I think that is a unfortunate thing that people do to one another, but yeah, it's tough, obviously, when someone steals your brand
Yeah,
authority.
but that's very important because even though we're not selling for probably 3 or more years, we still are getting a lot of orders and traffic to the website because of the brand names. The like one is Extreme Power, extremepower.net is the domain, in which is a very good domain. So, like I said, branding is important for the long term. So that's definitely the important thing.
Yes, thank you. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show. A little bit of a shorter episode today, but I just love, the story of having that such amazing ROI and a supplement, scaling that out, selling the business, and then turning your expertise into a service. So I love that whole process of where you're at. If anyone's interested in reaching out to you, how can they get in touch?
I mean, I will share my LinkedIn. I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn with Spotlight, partners, all this stuff. And probably we should do another episode and we should talk about the partnership side because
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have time to discuss everything, but we should talk about the partnership next time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nick, for being on. We'll definitely have you back again and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Reggie. And like we said earlier, Europe is good for vacation, but for business as well. So summer is coming. So come to Europe.
Yeah, totally. I'll be there soon. See you. Bye.
Yeah.